And howdy. Hello. All right, here we go. Okay, hi everybody, I'm Rob, as you know. And we're doing a series of webinars this month on having more energy to achieve your goals. And this is important to me because I've been thinking about it a lot. And I want to dive right into it. Let's imagine that our lives are like a stock. And here's person A. And hopefully this is you and I. Our life has ups and downs, but generally we go in an upward slope. And then there's person B. And they have some positive experiences, some high points. But generally their life is one slow decline, less energy, less accomplishment, less satisfaction, less happiness, and so forth. That's how this is, I think, as Thoreau said, I think most people lead quiet lives of desperation. Quiet life of desperation. A clod. That's no good. That's not what we want. And then there are a rare, smaller group of people who have super giant peaks in their life. Marriage, kids, promotions, trading, or whatever you want to call it, a series of higher highs. And then they have lows like, kids leaving for college, and that makes them sad or something. But their lows are higher lows, just like a trend. And I want to talk about people and talk about financial instruments in a similar fashion. Instead of leading a quiet life of desperation, a happy life of satisfaction. Los. We got to come up with a better word for that, and we will at some point in time. But that's what we're striving for. And I want to talk a little bit about how we completely avoid this over here and we accomplish this. And I think it comes down to a few things that we're going to discuss today. But let's imagine for a moment that you're not a person and I'm not a person. Let's imagine just for a brief moment anyway, that you and I are a company. And we're just going to call it Me Incorporated. If Me Incorporated had a generally improving stock price that over time had higher highs and higher lows and was generally in an upward trend from start to finish, we would say that this company had, and I think you would agree, this company had good fundamentals. Now, it's possible that this company has trends or mini trends that are based on technicals, based on enthusiasm or euphoria, or based on outside events happening to it. For example, a company can benefit from regulations or the lack of regulations or a current circumstances outside of its control. But when a company has good fundamentals, over time, as Warren Buffett would say, in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine, and in the long term, it's a weighing machine. It's a scale. And what he meant by that is, in the short term, people vote based on their ridiculous notions of what a stock is worth because of short-term events, and they're all crazy. But in the long term, fundamentals, running a company according to sound principles, is what has it go up. Now, I'm going to call this movement upward. Energy. That this movement upward or this movement forward is really energy. It's financial energy moving upward. If you think about a marathon runner, a world-class biker in the Tour de France, you think about a world-class athlete, we're talking about these people having energy. But the great minds of our age, You might hate Elon Musk. That's fine. Whatever. That's fine. We're not going to have an argument about politics, religion, or personalities here today. These people also had energy, right? They got by on little sleep. They accomplished amazing things in short periods of time. They did more than what most people are able to accomplish. They're superpowered. They somehow have this hidden source of energy that allowed them to do the things that they did. Well, you could say this about the great traders of our age also. Buffett, Munger, Charlie Munger. You could say it about, and the others. Jim Simons of Renaissance. All these folks have in common is somehow they were able to get by on less sleep, accomplish more. And how did they do it? Well, I'm going to go back to comparing a person to a company. They had good fundamentals. So today in our presentation, I want to talk about good fundamentals. Like I said, we're not going to take a long time. I'm going to get through this reasonably quickly. I might just upload this to YouTube so it's easier to share with you and we just get this thing out there. But they had good fundamentals. So what are good, great fundamentals for a person? What are they? Let's talk about them. If you want to have the energy, like I do, and I think you do as well, if you want to have the energy to accomplish your goals, you need to base your life on sound principles and have good fundamentals. Now, a company, of course, we would talk about fiscal and financial fundamentals, right? We would talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But you have to have fundamentals as a human that are not necessarily only driven by money. So let's talk about the base, the solid base. Number one, spiritual. I would say that a company has a brand. The soul of a company is its brand, what it represents at its core, the promise that it represents on a core level through its logo, and you just see it all the way through. You could say spiritual, but it doesn't have to be religious for you. It doesn't have to be one brand of spirituality. But what's your at your core? Your core, what do you believe in? Who are you? Knowing this is a fundamental element of having energy and being happy. Look at the greats. Look at Lincoln. Martin Luther King Jr. Look at the core. Look at the people who accomplished a lot. I don't want to use names that are going to cause a lot of problems and people and are going to like stoke the fires of your unhappiness. But look at this. Look at Bill Clinton or look at Donald Trump. I don't want you to think that I'm making a judgment call about either of these two people, but both of these people achieved the pinnacle of American political success. Two different people, maybe not, maybe different. Two different political parties. Maybe that doesn't make a difference to you, but they reached the pinnacle of success in their party. Martin Luther King Jr. reached the pinnacle of success in influencing generations of people. Abraham Lincoln changed the course of a nation forever. At their core, they were something. Their brand was something. Unity. The ability to overcome any obstacle for Martin Luther King Jr. And you could say Clinton and Trump, ambition. I'm not saying right or wrong. You could say Musk, at the core, he has this idea that he's going to save the world. Okay, maybe that's stupid. Maybe you think that's stupid. I don't care if you think that's stupid. They knew who they were at their core. They had a fundamental core. You look at religious leaders like, Billy Graham comes to mind. But there are other religious leaders. You pick your religion. It's fine. I don't want to make this, like I said, I don't want to make this into a, but they knew who they were. A God-fearing man here. His God, his version, whatever, right? He knew who he was. At his fundamental spiritual core, he knew who he was. I think most people are walking around today and they don't know who they are. They haven't truly admitted who they are. They don't have a sound spiritual foundation. Doesn't have to be religious, but they don't know who they are and what they represent at the core. What are your true core values? And what's one way to sum it up? What's one thing that sums up who you are? I thought a lot about this with my friend Jason. Jason Smith, our lead instructor, like the ranked 11 on DarwinX, just a spectacular trader, just a spectacular human being, a good friend to us. And he and I had this conversation. And I said, for me, it was love. Not easy for me to admit, but that's what it is. I felt a little weird talking about it, but that's what it is. I love you. I love you. I love our family of traders, and I love you individually. And I care about you individually. And if I leave any legacy at all, this is what I hope it is. That you know that I care about you and I love you no matter what you've done, no matter what you've been through, no matter what mistakes you've made, no matter where you rank as a trader or whatever else. That's my legacy. That's what I want my legacy to be. I don't want my legacy to be Knoxville Divergence or I built a robot. That's stupid. It's why anyway, it's a longer conversation, but I know that about myself now. And it took some conversations with a friend that I trust after 40 something years of life. Okay, that's a fundamental. If I get my fundamental spiritual core right, just like if a company gets its brand messaging right, congruent, you start to live congruently, authentically, according to that core. If you were a company, it would be called a brand. All right, that's going to give you energy. That's going to give you a spectacular amount of energy. Second fundamental principle, relationships. You might call this in a company, you might call this the team, right? If this is a company, it's the team. Jim Collins, my favorite business author ever, author of Good to Great. I also love Tom Peters, but Good to Great. Talks about getting the right people on the bus and the wrong people off the bus as far as management teams are concerned. And that makes so much of a difference for a successful company. You get the fundamentals right. Get the right people in your life around you and get the wrong people out of your life. That's going to give you energy. That's going to give you strength. That's going to give you happiness. You're going to wake up in the morning next to the right person. You're going to go home at night to the right people, your family. You're going to treat the core people in your life better than anyone else. You're going to put them first. You're going to take care of them. You're going to foster good relationships. You're going to build good relationships. You're going to focus your attention on. You're going to center you're going to work together with them. You're going to find a core group of people. You're going to get them together as a team, and it's going to be your family and your friends and your closest people. And you're going to have, over the course of your life, a lot of people, but there are going to be 5 people who you're closest to. And those 5 people are going to have more of an impact on what you accomplish and who you are and what you do than anything else. That's a fundamental. You got to get that right. You have to get that right. All right. Now let's move on to something more practical. Spelled this wrong. Let's get the eraser out. There we go. Financial. Same, similar for companies and for individuals. You want to have a low energy and unhappiness, then go broke. Not a good idea. Not a lot of fun. Not fun to be unable to support your family. I mean, you can be happy without money. A company has to have good finances. It has to spend less than it brings in. It's your P&L. You have to reduce your expenses and increase your income. That's how a company succeeds. That's a good fundamental principle. We could sit around all day and we could talk about the benefits of poverty and the vow of poverty and the happiness in poverty and the attachment to nothing. And we could talk about that all day long. It's not my thing. I want to have money in the bank and I want to know my family's taken care of. I don't need more. I just need enough. You have to have this right. You have to reduce expenses first, and you have to increase income second. You have to get the financial side of things right. You got to get it right. Last of all, you got to work. It's got to, and I don't mean work as in hard work. I mean functions properly. You ever go to a company and you can't get anything done, you can't reach customer service? I mean, I've had problems. Listen, I'm not a perfect company, all right? So I can laugh at my own expense. You ever have a terrible experience inside of a restaurant and feel like I'm never going back there again? You ever have a terrible experience ordering stuff in a business-to-business kind of situation as a company? Stuff has to function properly. I'm not talking about hard work and working hard and being all hustling and all that stuff. I'm saying you've got to have routines, supply chains, customer service as a company. It's got to work. You've got to have a quality standard for what you do. And that'll make a huge difference. Meaning, do less and do it better. These 4 areas of life are 4 fundamental things that we're going to talk about. We're going to have short webinars on each of these topics over the course of this month for lifetime members. I'm going to upload this video to YouTube and just share it with the world because it will make it easier for me to get this video out to you lifetime members faster. The rest of them I'll keep inside the membership and only for members. But these core fundamental areas of life will make a immediate, definite, and important impact and give you, when you get them right, the energy to be successful. That's what I believe. I love you all. So happy to spend time with you. Thanks for being here, everybody. I am going to come back in a week, and we'll talk about the spiritual side first.